everyone, welcome to another episode of Digging Deep. I'm Tara.
And I'm Cody.
And it is hot.
It is hot. It was, it's been really nice this week, but the last couple of days it's been getting really hot in the afternoon.
Yeah, at least the heat wave is over, but it's still pretty hot.
Yeah, the humidity coming out in the afternoon really does us in.
So what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? We've been doing a lot of harvesting. We've been doing lettuce. We've been doing peas. We've been doing cucumbers. I think cucumbers are a little bit early this year.
Yeah.
They looked fantastic. We're getting really great yields off those. We have some broccoli coming.
The broccoli looks really good. I was eyeing it up yesterday.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to broccoli.
Yep. So we've been eating lettuce, peas, and cucumbers for the last couple of days. I don't know about you, but we've done how many cucumber varieties? Like almost 30?
Yeah. 30 at least. I was telling someone who just started working over here at Bessie's Equipment about we were trialing cucumbers, and he was like, how many cucumbers can there be? I'm like, there are cucumbers.
There are cucumbers. And you can definitely tell the difference between all of them back to back.
Yeah, there's some clear winners, and when we say that's a Bessie's top pick, it is a top pick. All the staff ate it and agreed it is the best.
And we've had some unanimous winners so far, so.
It has been unanimous. The lettuce was really good today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to bring up our live. There it is. I can answer questions now. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I think we have a giveaway later today we're going to do. So stay tuned for that. We did a lot of weeding this week too.
We did a lot of weeding, but everything looks really good now.
Yeah.
Looks really good.
The flowers are really taking off. The veggies, I'm very excited.
The display bed, Joyce designed and then you helped plant. It looks great right now. Everything's popping in there and it's starting to bush out, and it looks, the 67 parsley is looking great.
I saw my first monarch this week. That's my favorite thing. Save the monarchs. Very excited to see them. Can't wait to see the caterpillars when they come. Let's jump right into questions. James says, I want to expand my garden for next year. What prep should I do to get it ready for it?
So the best thing you can do, James, is wherever you're going to be planting, you can till that up. Any rocks, roots, that sort of thing you find, take those out, set them aside somewhere. And then you want to cover that with like landscaping fabric or a thick like a tarp, something like that. Basically that'll kill any other plants that are still living there and any seeds that are there, and it'll kind of burn or bake them off. And then you want to keep that there all winter, and then come next spring when you're ready to plant, you can pull that off, and then you can amend it with some organic matter, plant in it, mulch it, and then do your planting there.
Now, would you recommend a soil test this year or next year?
You could do one this year. I would do one for the fall. And then it also doesn't hurt, if it says, your pH is like a 5, which is quite low, then you can look at adding lime the following spring, kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lisa, does deadheading zinnias and coneflowers make them bloom longer?
Yes, it makes the plants bloom longer over a longer period. So not necessarily like a single flower, but it'll extend the plant's flowering period.
Yeah. We just got our coneflowers out in bloom. Our zinnias are looking good. We usually deadhead them because we pick them for bouquets.
Yeah.
So that's natural.
But we have one whole bed of echinacea and coneflower across the road, and it's in full flower right now, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and we co-planted it with allium.
Yeah.
So we can just like leave that bed, and it'll look like that. We'll have to divide them up.
Well, we will in a couple more years, but right now it's looking fantastic.
Yeah, Joyce was saying that she didn't know how long the bed was staying there. And I'm like, well, when it goes, we can put it on the wall bed.
Yes.
It needs color. Sally says, how can I get my garden soil tested?
So you can do some at-home tests. We do sell some, but if you want something super specific, you can take some samples, usually through your provincial agriculture department or through like a Guelph University or any of those. They have all the instructions online on like how to submit it, how much you need to submit, and then you can kind of choose what soil tests you want. You can go like everything across the board, or you can do just organic matter, you can do just nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. It's totally up to you, and they're relatively inexpensive. To do like all the macronutrients and micronutrients and your pH, I think here in PEI is like $15 or $20, like super affordable.
Yeah, very cheap. Just Google like wherever you are and soil test, and it should come up. Ours is done through the government here. We go just outside of Charlottetown. Well, I guess it's still technically Charlottetown there. And get it tested. But different places have it done differently. Some do it through the university.
And like, I also make a recommendation, like even if you have established beds, to also make, a soil test every couple of years. especially for pH. If you need to start adding lime and stuff, it's a great way to know where it is.
Oh, Sally is on PEI. You would drop it off. Do you know where like a honeybee is on the bypass? It's right next to honeybee.
Yeah. And if you're not in the Charlottetown area, you can send it to like there's places like in O'Leary and Montague you can submit it to, and then they'll ship it there.
Yeah. Dawn, my onions look like they are going to flower. Do I leave it?
No, so you want to snap those off. And you can actually eat them if you want to. They're a nice little like juicy oniony like explosion in your mouth. They're quite good.
Yeah, and you can even eat the stem as a green onion.
Yep. Yeah, but you want to snap those off and you want to put all that energy back into the bulb.
Yeah. And do onions always flower, or is it a sign of stress?
Typically they always flower, but depending on how early they flower is a type of stress. Yeah. So like this year it's been really hot and dry. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 5 days earlier this year than last year, for example.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of our onions flower this year.
We had a couple of our sets flowering, which is typical because they are from like last year's bulbs. So they already do have some maturity on them, and they came earlier than the rest, so I'm not surprised.
Snapping off the onion blooms a very, very like
it's a nice
like,
snap and pop.
Yeah, it's like garden ASMR. If you're into that, it's just very cathartic.
Maybe we can make like the onion dance. We'll call it snap and pop.
Jeff says some provincial labs that does the same provincial lab that does water testing.
There you go.
Yeah, but every province is different. So if you're not on PEI and you want, look it up.
Yeah.
I grew some hanging baskets. Our petunias perennial. I grew some hanging baskets last year, and this year they are popping up in a couple of places.
So they're not perennial, but they do reseed in the garden, so that's probably what you're seeing coming up.
Yeah. I like when they reseed, but they can sometimes cross and...
They can cross, and you know, it's like tomatoes is another good example. Like they'll reseed and they'll grow in the spring, but just much, much later. You can try to grow those, but you know, if it's a hybrid, what fruit you're going to get, nobody knows, you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be relying on it, but it is fun when volunteers pop up.
I would say it's a fun thing, but that's a good reason. It's not reliable.
Yeah.
If you want a beefsteak, you might end up getting a cherry. Like I just watch it and have fun with
it. The wild things growing in our compost pile. We've got like some rogue squash type thing.
We got some pumpkin squash gourd hybrids, some sunflower hybrids. We have lots of bulbs up there flowering.
Yeah, the compost pile likes to grow weird things.
Yes.
Stephanie, the Japanese beetle are attacking my rose bushes. I see you no longer carry the traps on your website. What do you recommend?
So the best thing you can do right now is pick them off by hand and put them in a bucket of water and soap. It's the best thing you can do right now.
And so why did we stop carrying the traps?
So we stopped carrying them because there's been some new data coming out that the traps actually do more harm than good. They've actually been attracting more beetles to the area of the trap, which they're supposed to do, but the traps themselves are only capturing up to 75% of the beetles. So you could only be catching like half of them, and then the other half or even more of the ones you're introducing could be just going rogue in your garden.
Yeah, and they seem to be really bad this year. I think especially on PEI, they're really taking a hold.
Yeah.
We've seen a couple, but I've only seen one, and you've only seen one.
I've seen one, yeah.
And in different areas.
Yeah.
But I'm watching.
Yes. If you do see Japanese beetle, you can report them to like an invasive species council or on like iNaturalist, any of those places. It just helps the government and a lot of these environment management organizations monitor where they're spreading to.
And that's a good point. That's not just for the Japanese beetle. I took an invasive species course with the council at McPhail Woods.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how you should report everything. If you've got, the garlic mustard or Japanese knotweed, report it so they can understand how big the problem is. Even if you pull it out, still report it so they know how big of a problem it is.
Yes, absolutely.
Darn pests.
I know.
Mark, some of my garlic is turning brown. It seems early. When do I know when to harvest it, and how do I ensure it lasts all winter?
So it sounds like your garlic's getting pretty close to harvest. We're July 25th today.
Yeah.
So usually garlic is sometime early August when it's ready to harvest, or sometime in the middle of August. I'm not surprised with how dry and hot it's been this year that it's a lot earlier. But it's basically ready to harvest once you see 2/3 of the plant turn brown. And basically to harvest it, you pull the whole thing out of the ground, and you'll want to lay those somewhere hot and sunny. And they're basically going to dry for a month and a half, or until you see absolutely zero green on them. And you can kind of tell around the necks, like down close to the bulb. Give them a little squeeze. If they're hard and kind of dry and papery sounding, then they're fine. But if they're a little bit squishy or maybe a little bit juicy, then they still have some drying to do. But basically, completely brown. If you cut off the rest of the foliage while they're still green, they're not going to store well. And if you have some pest damage in the bulbs, they're still fine to eat. Just eat those before the ones that are healthy, because they won't last as long in storage.
Yeah, I think things seem early. I mean, our currants are ready, and that's early.
Yeah.
One of our coworkers was harvesting them yesterday, and she makes jelly with them. And she said she normally gets them, and like August 13th was the date she picked them last year, and it's what? July 25th.
So we're like 2.5, 3 weeks early.
Yeah, and the raspberries seem early.
Yeah.
I think we have a raspberry question. Let's segue to that. There it is. Corey, how do you prune raspberry canes?
How do you prune raspberry canes? So basically, once the raspberries are done flowering, any of the canes that did have flowers on them, you can remove those. I like to remove them in the fall just because it makes it easier and you can tell which canes have already had the flowers on them instead of waiting till the spring. Yeah, that's basically. You can do it in the spring if you want to, but I do it in the fall because it's easier.
So are you marking it, or are you just cutting it as soon as all the berries are done on that
So
branch?
as soon as all the berries are done, I'm cutting that stem off at the ground level. And any of the ones that don't have flower buds are going to produce flower and fruit next year, so you're going to save those ones.
And do you throw out the cane that you cut off, or are you replanting it?
I throw it out altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does Lindy eat them? Probably too spiny.
I don't know. We've never tried to give her leaves. We have a bunny. I've never given her leaves, but she loves fruit.
Does she eat the raspberries?
Yes, she loves them.
I need a video. Mary, I have pots on my step and it is full of earwigs and large ants. How do I get rid of them?
That's a great question. So earwigs love to climb things. So any planters on your deck that are up tall, they kind of get to the base of it and they're like, I need to climb that. And like it's almost like like they get the adrenaline rush and they're like rock climbing off the side of it, kind of, and
what's up there? I bet it's the best meal.
Yeah, basically, they love to climb things and they love to hide under things. The best thing you can do if they're in your pot, especially this time of year where everything needs water every day, if you give a really good flush of water, you should flush most of them out. Hopefully, after a couple of days, they get the hint and they don't keep coming back. Otherwise, you're looking at like diatomaceous earth spread around the base of it. For earwigs, we do sell earwig traps. They do work, and the traps are literally a piece of wood they crawl into, and then you just have to empty it. So super environmentally friendly.
Empty it daily.
Yeah.
And if you have chickens, they would love to eat those.
Yep.
The bugs have been pretty bad this year.
The bugs have been bad this year, and the weeds have been really bad this year. I was actually talking with my partner this week. She works in agriculture, and we were talking with some of the farmers, and they're struggling with weeds too. And it's almost like because of the hot weather, the seeds have been like pre-germinating in the soil, so they basically just almost break their seed coat, and then they're like, all right, there's no moisture here, and I'm going to sit here. And then as soon as we get any rain, they just explode through the soil, and that's just been happening cycle after cycle after cycle.
Yeah, it's been quite intense. I find like the weeds are really bad. The bugs are pretty bad.
Yeah.
How's disease in the field? Do you notice any?
I haven't noticed a whole lot of disease. There might be some leaf spotting here and there, but that's pretty typical, and most plants will grow that. But for the most part, stuff looks really good.
I thought the same thing. The pumpkins look fantastic.
Yeah, we always have a problem early on with cucumber beetles, but once the plants mature and they get to a larger size, they can fight them off themselves, and they look great right now.
Yeah, they look fantastic. I think we're actually going to do our next digging deep either in the field or in the flowers.
That'll be really exciting.
Where do you think we should go?
That's a good question.
So it'll be fun. We haven't gone on location in this way because it'll just be like us in a phone with a mic out in the field, whether it's the flowers or the veggies.
Yeah.
But we could show you around and show you what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't decide which is better.
Maybe we could start with the field, and then if we get a lot of flower questions, then maybe the one after that we go to the flowers.
Or we just jump the golf cart and like drive over on the live stream.
That's right.
You guys can put in the comments whether you'd like to see flowers or veggies.
Yeah.
We're up to giving you anything you want.
We just want to be outside somewhere with plants. Yeah.
But not today because it's very hot.
Yes.
It's like, 30 degrees with the humidity?
Yeah, today it's pretty warm.
Lori, my strawberries have a lot of runners. I see conflicting information about whether or not I should leave them. What are your thoughts?
So some people leave them. it is good to mow your strawberries every year, and then, after 2 or 3 years of mowing the mother plant, replace them with some of those runners. You can do that. It is something you can do. I do recommend you replace the plants altogether because those runners, biologically speaking, have the exact same DNA as the mother plant. So if if they are susceptible to more pests or diseases, that gets carried over to the runners. So you can plant the runners if you want to, but I recommend just replacing the whole plants altogether.
So mow them down. You're saying like take your lawnmower out?
Yep. Oh man, the first time I did that was like the most nerve-wracking thing ever. When we moved into our house and I was reading up on strawberries and they're like, mow them off and fertilize them with 1010, and I was like, okay. So I set my lawnmower as high as it goes, and you mow over the plants, and then you fertilize them, and you're done until next spring.
It makes sense, though. I mean, how many times have we pulled the wild strawberries and they come right back?
Yeah.
I mean, they are more resilient than we think they are.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's just so hard to get something established, then you think that you have to baby it. But strawberries love to grow.
Oh yeah, and I learned something really cool about it because I thought you're just mowing the foliage off just to make the plants go dormant or something like that, and maybe that's the case. But the major reason was those leaves survive through the winter, and they can harbor diseases on the leaves. So by mowing them off, you're basically getting rid of them, and they'll break down through the winter.
So are you mowing on the highest setting or the lowest?
On the highest setting. Did I say the lowest?
You said the highest, but you think you want to remove all the leaves.
You want to mow on the highest setting. If there's a couple left, that's all right. But mow on the highest setting. Yes, not the lowest. I'm afraid if you're on the lowest setting, you might scalp them and then take them out, and then they might die.
Yeah. So you say leave some if the mother plant is old.
Mm-hmm. Mother plant's old, I would look at maybe replacing it with new plant stock. Or if you want to expand it and it's only a year or two old, then you can cut some of those runners off and put them elsewhere in the garden.
I want strawberries.
I love strawberry season.
Well, I will trade you raspberries for strawberries.
Okay.
We have 2 votes for veggies and 1 vote for flowers.
Okay.
So
tight race.
It is a tight race. I think the veggies are a good space, especially because we'll have the tomatoes trellis, the pumpkins are going to look good.
Yes.
The onions are going to look good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alexandra says, a lot of my flowers are covered in tiny black bugs. What are they? They don't seem to be chewing any holes. Should I leave them alone?
The number 1 culprit for little black bugs is flea beetles, annoying little buggers.
Mm-hmm.
They just like to chew holes in leaves and make little holes, and that's about all they do. The good thing is, though, once the plants mature, they can basically handle the pressure of them chewing on the leaves.
Mm-hmm.
But early on, like cabbages, broccoli, anything like that, really small, they'll do a number of damage.
Yeah, I find the flea beetles like white flowers better than the colored flowers.
Interesting. I haven't really noticed that.
When you're over in the flower trials, not anymore, because I think the flea beetle period is almost over for us. But yeah, like in the columbine, they were on the white columbine and not on the pinks and the reds.
Interesting.
I
never
why?
noticed that.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
But
I'm certainly going to be watching for that now.
I have pictures of it. I recorded the data, and I actually showed, because you can see the plants and they're fine, and you get to the white one and it's covered in flea beetles.
Right. Interesting.
So I don't know why they like that.
Okay.
Another vote for veggies. I think it's veggies.
Okay. We'll start with veggies.
We'll start with veggies.
Yes.
All right. And you guys, while they're watching, ask any questions that you might be having. You can comment on how your season's going. What are you succeeding at? What are you failing at?
Yeah, we love to hear how our customers' seasons are going. Where you're at. For us, it's been really hot and dry. We're here in Prince Edward Island, but like 5 hours away, even 3.5 hours away in like Nova Scotia, they've had 200 mils of rain already this month.
Yeah, even up west is getting more rain than we are.
Yeah, like we're talking like hours apart from each other. It's just complete polar opposites in terms of like how much moisture they're getting.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't get the 200 mil, but like a little bit more rain would be nice.
They got about 200 mils, and I would say we probably have less than 50 for the month of July.
No, that's not. Is it going to rain tonight?
A little bit.
They said it was supposed to rain all day, didn't they?
They did, and then it changed.
That's what Joyce
and then the weather changed.
That's what Joyce said.
And then the weather changes.
Steve, I'm growing banana this year, and I was wondering if I can move it inside for the winter. When should I move it in, and how do I ensure I don't move bugs with it?
So you want to move it in before any frosts come. And then, if you're talking pests, that sort of thing, You could try a little bit of like Endol. I would try a little bit on like one like old leaf first, just to make sure you're not going to burn it or anything. It's going to kill the leaf. And then once you know if it's not going to do that, you can coat the whole plant in it just to get rid of any bugs. That would be the best thing to do to ensure you're not getting any bugs coming in with you.
Yeah, we moved our bananas in and then we moved them back out.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little stressful.
It's a little stressful on them. I mean, they went from living inside to like any light, and then they go outside to the greenhouse and they have like 14 hours of light a day.
And like extreme heat.
Yeah, like mid-20s. Yeah.
Sally, if I plant broccoli now, will it mature in time to harvest? And I want to avoid using pesticides.
Yep, it'll mature in time. They love the cold, so they'll go quite far into the fall. If the falls have been anything like that, I've been here the last couple of years, like well into November, you should be getting some broccoli, as long as you're not getting any like minus 20 temperatures by any means. So, yep, you can definitely plant some now.
Do you think broccolini would be faster than broccoli, or about the same time?
About the same time. I would go with some cold-tolerant broccoli. We do sell a couple of cold-tolerant varieties. I would start looking at those if you're looking to plant them for the fall.
Yeah, I love broccoli. I'm very excited for our broccoli.
I am too.
Meyer Mills says, do you have tree seeds?
We don't have any tree seeds, but we do sell like tree plants in the spring. We have a couple of ornamental varieties. We got some maples, some magnolias, and then we have some fruit trees as well. Maybe if Tracy's watching, she can like link that in the comments. You can have a look at those, but no tree seeds.
I mean, in my opinion, if you're going to plant a tree, it should give you something. So I would do pear tree, plum tree, apple tree.
Yeah.
Sugar maple. I do think it takes like 20 years to get maple syrup out of it.
I think that's worth it.
So you got to if you want that, you really need to start now.
Yes.
We are buying a house, and the first thing I want to do is plant all of the trees.
Yes.
Because it's going to take a few years before they give us fruit,
Yep.
and we really need to get on that if we want to eat from them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we do have some trees.
Yes.
Bushes.
Yep.
Lots of things.
All those and those come up as live plants. Most of the trees comes as whips, like 3.5 feet long, something like that. So.
Yeah, we actually did some videos this spring showing what they look like. Some are bigger than others, but it's very easy. They're very successful. Yeah, Tracy added the link.
Perfect. Thank you, Tracy.
She's amazing.
And the reason we sell live plants as whips and we sell live plants like that is, it's kind of like a hybrid version of like seed and like buying like a plant at the nursery, where you get the plant where it already has nice growth on it, where you can get that like satisfaction of seeing a plant right away. But also it's still small enough that, shipping costs and the plant itself doesn't cost a lot of money like seed.
Right.
So it's like a nice hybrid between the two.
Yeah, I mean, buying a full, a 10-foot tall maple tree at the nursery is going to cost you hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds and hundreds. Yeah.
Because they've been growing it for 5-10 years.
Yes, and then they have the special equipment most times to dig them up and bring them to your house as well.
Yeah. If you want trees, start now. Do fruit trees, but I'm biased.
Yeah.
I want to eat all of the things. Definitely ask more questions in the comments. Oh, Noreen says, I have an apple tree growing from a sprouted seed I found inside my apple. Will it bear fruit one day?
It should bear fruit one day. If that seed came from like a Granny Smith apple, I would say don't expect Granny Smith. I would say expect anything under the sun that is an apple.
Yeah, and you would probably need to have 2 apples, right, for the cross-pollination?
Yes, so you need 2 trees in the apple family, which I believe is Malus. So, pear trees, apple trees, that sort of thing. And they have to be flowering at the same time. Same thing goes for like blueberries as well. You need something in the same genus, and they have to be flowering at the same time.
Yeah, and you might get 1 or 2 apples, but you really are going to increase your harvest if you have another variety.
Yes.
But it's very fun, but your apple is definitely a hybrid of some sorts because it cross-pollinated to get there.
Yeah.
Sally, I have a lot of Japanese beetles. I also want to give potted plants away. How or when can I be sure I'm not sharing beetle eggs?
That's a very good question. That's actually not something I've dealt with. But I would say if you feel like you are dealing with, Japanese beetle, if they're on your roses, I, would recommend maybe not doing rose cuttings or giving away rose pieces. I would go for plants that you don't see them on just to be safe.
Yeah, these Japanese beetles are really taking over.
Yeah. there's lots of information about Japanese beetle online, like everywhere. So if you can find like a good like brochure or PDF on what the eggs look for, maybe that'll help you and you know what to look for. And if you do see them, you can squish them or rub them off or anything like that.
I'm going to guess, and this is just a guess, that beetles are going to be laying their eggs in the soil and not on the back of a leaf.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure where they lay their bugs.
I don't know.
This is a great conversation for my wife and I because she studies bugs. So
I hope she's watching.
She's gonna say everything I say is wrong. But I would say just to be on the safe side, I would say just do the plants that you don't see beetles on.
Yeah, and always inspect the underside of the leaves because you don't know what's going to be on there. Yeah. They like to lay eggs in the bottom of the leaves.
Yes.
Potato beetle does that. Cucumber beetle does it.
Yeah.
Meyer says, what is the best annual fruit tree here in northern Alberta? Other than apples and crabapple, I've done, but the mice like them.
Interesting. Are the mice eating the fruit, or are they eating like the bark around the bottoms of the tree?
Ooh, probably the bark.
Yes, I know a lot of rodents will do that. It is very sweet, and that's probably why they do it. So you might look at getting, you know, some protectants for the bottom of the trees. You know, they come in like little cages or anything like that.
In northern Alberta, so you'd probably be like a zone 3.
If you were probably around there.
If you were zone 3, you would have more options available to you than like a zone 1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everything that we sell, though, it does list the zones next to it, of where it is hardy to.
Yes.
He said cherries.
Cherries? Yeah, cherry. You might be right on the line or right under. The best thing you can do is, you know, find some cherry cultivars, find out what zone they're hardy to, and then find out what zone you live into. There is the Canadian Plant Hardiness Zone map. You can look at that. You can go to any garden center or nursery or ask anyone there. They'll easily be able to tell you what zone you live in. So start by finding out what zone you live in, and then find a variety that's hardy to within your zone.
And what would you do to stop rodents from chewing on the plants right after you plant them?
Yeah, so there's like some different like protectants you can get out there. You know, there's cages you'll see a lot of times around the bases of plants. Sometimes you might see like this is for pests, or this is for insects more than it is for rodents, but like there's white spiral tape you'll see around the bottoms of them as well. Mm-hmm. There's probably some other products out there too that might make the bark like bitter, so when they bite into it they get a mouthful of bitter and run away. So there's any number of those things, and you can find a lot of those at any nurseries or garden centers that carry trees.
Yeah, Mother Nature really wants to make it difficult for us.
Yes.
But once you get the cherries established, they'll be like really good.
Yeah.
Our hardy cherries are hardy to zone 3. So if you're zone 3, they will work for you. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Tracy, for coming in.
Yes.
But yeah, I think goji berries might also be a 3.
Yep.
We don't have the catalog. I don't have that catalog.
Yes.
No. So it is online though.
Yeah. I have a great, ginormous goji berry bush at home. If anyone has any great recipes out there for goji berry anything, let me know, because I'm having a hard time finding anything online about it. So if you have some like jam jelly recipes or anything, please let me know in the comments.
The only thing I ever see with goji berries is people dehydrating them.
Oh, really?
So people dehydrate them because that's how you buy them in the store. If
right.
You get goji berries, they're dried.
Mm-hmm. Is the seed still in them?
I don't know because I've never had them. Okay. But have you ever seen them where they do like the dried mango?
Yeah.
They just dry it and it's pieces.
Interesting.
And I wonder if it tastes kind of like, if it's got like the texture of jerky.
Right. Interesting.
Is it producing?
Oh, yeah, like nobody's business. I got a large mixing bowl full. It must have been at least 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of fruit. And it looks like I didn't even put a dent in the bush. One bush.
And how do they taste?
Fresh off the bush, they are quite tart and sour. They do like to suck the moisture out of your mouth. I think that's from the tartness. But we had the bowls sitting in the fridge for about a week. So I think as they mature, they don't break down as fast, but it produces a lot of that like tartness more into sugar. So they got much sweeter as they matured.
Our aronia berries are hardy to zone 3.
Okay.
And that's a new berry that we carry, and it's very good. He had choke cherries. Oh, and gooseberries. The gooseberries should work out there.
Yep.
Yeah. You definitely need to bring some goji berries in.
I will bring some goji berries in. There are still... I don't know if this is a good indication, but I don't see birds picking them off. But also, I don't see birds picking off our currants and hascats either, so...
The birds aren't picking off your hascats?
They are not. We got all of them.
That's weird.
I know.
That's not how it is here.
Same with our blueberries. They don't touch the blueberries. It's very interesting.
You have really nice birds.
We do have very nice birds.
The birds around here have an attitude.
Which is surprising because we have blue jays, and usually they're the most gluttonous bird there is.
That's true. They must be eating something else very well.
I think so.
I had goji berries taste better when they're not quite ripe.
Okay, next year I'll try them when they're not quite ripe then.
Nice.
Interesting. Okay.
How are your peaches?
Oh, they're coming. They are coming. I've already thinned some of the fruit off, so they get a little bit bigger, a little bit tastier. So, but I can see them from our window in our house, and every day I can see them grow a little bit bigger.
Nice.
Yep.
Goji berries. I've never had a goji berry. I think you need to dehydrate them. Do you have a dehydrator?
Yep.
Nice.
I'll dehydrate some and bring them in.
Thank you for your knowledge.
Maybe this is a good time to announce what we're giving away.
Oh yeah, what are we giving away?
Oh yeah, we're giving away a couple seed collections. So we have, is it the carrot collection?
Yes.
And the bush bean collection we're giving away.
Right, because there's still time to do both of those,
Yes.
pretty much regardless of where you are.
Yep. There's lots of time.
So we're going to give away one of those collections and maybe some swag.
Yeah.
We have some swag, maybe a water bottle.
Exclusive swag.
Exclusive swag.
Yes.
We're going to make people answer a question.
Yes.
A harder question.
A harder question.
And yeah, we're going to do it now.
Yeah, we can do it now.
It's 3:30. First, let's talk about what we're going to do next week.
Okay.
What's on our plans?
So we're going to be looking at some broccoli next week, finishing up our peas. Lettuce will be done. We're going to be trellising tomatoes like nobody's business. Our tomatoes are going out of control.
Yeah, we really need to get on that.
We have lots of fruit coming with tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
The cherries are producing like crazy. Peppers are coming. We're going to be having corn soon too.
We have 1, 2, 3 plantings of corn plus a milling corn.
Yeah.
So 4 separate plantings of corn.
Yep.
That's a lot
We
of
have
corn.
pumpkins coming. Scallop squash coming, which is really exciting. So
I do find that it's weird that it's like almost August and we don't have a single zucchini.
I know, right?
Like, that's weird.
I'm not going to complain because you harvest them every day, and then people only want them the first time, and after that it's like, I don't need any more.
Yeah, but if you turn them into brownies, people always want them.
Oh yes, it's a good way to get your veggies too.
Do you people go to the farmer's market? We do not go to the farmer's market. Cody, why don't you explain what we do in our trial gardens?
Sure. So we grow about 2 acres of veggies and maybe like a quarter to half an acre of flowers every year. We do upwards and over 1,000 varieties and cultivars every year between vegetables and flowers and herbs. And basically we grow them here to make sure they grow as advertised from breeders. And then if they do, if we really like them, depending on flavor, yields, anything like that, then we offer them as seed to our customers.
Yeah, we don't bring anything in that we don't grow, trial, and stand behind. And we've got 30 different cucumbers this year, and we may add 1, 2, maybe none.
Yeah.
We're really looking for the best of the best, and we want to carry the best seed.
Yeah.
It does mean that we do have to eat a lot of things.
Darn.
Darn.
Watermelons, darn.
Darn.
Yeah.
Beets, gross.
Yeah.
But we do get to be very, very fussy
Yes.
about it. And if you think that like every cucumber tastes the same, if you ate 20 different cucumbers all in one go, you'll see how vastly different they are.
Vastly different. Yes.
Like skin texture and
skin texture, color of the flesh inside, seed cavities, and how big they are. Like.
All right, so let's do cucumbers because we
Yep.
just did cucumbers.
Mm-hmm.
What all are we looking for when we trial a cucumber?
So we'll do a field cucumber. So we're looking to harvest between 7 and 8 inches long because that's typically how big they are.
Mm-hmm.
Then we kind of get a length and how much they weigh. And then after that, when we're eating it, we're looking for like skin thickness. If the seeds inside, do you notice them when you're chewing? The flesh, is it sweet? Is it super watery? Sometimes with field cucumbers, they can have really, really bitter skin when it's been really dry. So, is it a little bit bitter? Any number of things.
Yeah, and looking at is the plant disease resistant, pest resistant.
What the yields are like.
Yeah, because sometimes a plant just like shines out in the field, and then sometimes it really doesn't.
Yeah.
So we do that, and we do it with everything.
Yep.
Flowers as well.
Yes.
And then when we're done with it, what happens to all the food?
So then when we're done with it, first we make whatever we harvest available to the staff here in the building. And then in whatever's left over, we either do a mix between, we have gleaners come. Gleaners are people who come to fields after they've already been harvested and kind of get the second produce, and then they take, a very small portion for themselves, and then the rest they distribute to the food bank or to community fridges. And then we also do a little bit of delivering to food banks and community fridges ourselves if it's just a little bit.
Yeah, and sometimes like the soup kitchen will take some of our squash because we have a lot.
Yeah.
But we try not to waste anything. We donate as much as we can. And if a product isn't good and it's not edible to anyone, maybe it was too bitter or too rotten in the field because we got too much rain, it goes to our compost pile.
Yes, so we compost it and then we use that again.
Yeah, so it turns into soil.
And actually last year, I think the only thing we harvested that we did not use and we had to compost was our first planting of lettuce just due to pest pressure. Everything else was used. None of it went to compost, which is amazing in my opinion.
I think it was like 6,000 pounds of food we donated, and that's on top of like 100 staff eating as much as they want.
Yes.
It is a good time when there's food available for everyone.
And we grow basically all vegetables except potatoes. That's really the only thing we don't dabble in. But we grow a little bit of everything every year.
Sherry wants to know, can I still plant pelleted carrots now?
Yep, you can still plant pelleted carrots. Depending where you are, I wouldn't expect, like an 8-inch carrot if you're in like a zone 3 or 2, but you can certainly get like a baby carrot.
Yeah, and they like the frost. They'll make them a little bit sweeter.
Yep.
So if they'll handle the cold just fine.
Yep.
Still lots of time for carrots and beans.
Yes.
Let me see. Penny and Mike say, this is my first year growing the mashed potato squash. Do they climb? It doesn't seem like they're climbing like a spaghetti squash.
No, they do not climb.
No.
No.
They're quite small.
And actually, that was one of the first things we added when I started here. Really cool squash. And they look just like mashed potatoes, but taste like a squash. It's very, very good.
Yeah, don't expect it to taste like a potato. It still tastes like a squash.
It tastes like a squash, but it looks just like mashed potatoes when prepped right. It's very cool.
I love squash.
Yes.
Squash season is one of my favorite seasons. Under watermelon, it's like watermelon, squash. Oh, maybe peas are above the squash.
I think it depends what season I'm in. For me, you'll be like, if it's, broccoli season, you'll be like, broccoli is my favorite. And then, if it's tomato season, like, tomatoes are my favorite.
The next question is never my favorite. How are the beets this year? Mine have, I think those are worms, maybe caterpillars.
Mm-hmm. So this year, we actually lost our first planting of beets this year due to weed pressure. We mentioned earlier in the show that weeds have been insane this year, and they actually ended up taking our beets from the get-go. Because it was so dry, the beet seeds we had planted were very, very slow to germinate, and then once they did germinate, the weeds were just so much faster and basically just encapsulated them and basically stole all the nutrients, water, and light from them.
Yeah. And it's hard because we are only like a team of like 4 people and we have like 2.5 acres to take care of.
Yes.
And we do a lot of things by hand and we have multiple varieties. So it's not like we plant one field of beets.
Yes.
On
top of harvesting everything, we also have to get data on everything too. So it's not like we're just harvesting and then taking it to the farmer's market or selling it. We're also getting that data in between there too, which is just adding another step.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of people had trouble with their beets this year on Prince Edward Island. And I think it was like it's been so dry.
Yes.
It's just, but there's still lots of time to plant again.
Yep.
We replanted.
Yeah. But you and I, in the rain last Thursday, were determined to get those second planting of beets in to make sure we got beets this year. And I'm happy to say there are some germinating today with 0 weeds coming up.
You know what's really funny is that I've planted a lot of things in the rain. Every time we plant the container beds, it's in the rain.
Yes.
I don't know why. It's just the way it is.
Just the way it is.
Heather says, what would eat my turnip leaves? Small holes everywhere, don't see a critter.
That sounds like flea beetles, which they do like. There's not much you can really do for flea beetles, but once the plants get big enough, they basically are strong enough to take care of themselves, and then any flea beetle damage they do get, it doesn't really affect them. It's really annoying in like a lot of like the Oriental and Asian vegetables and mustards and stuff, because the harvestable part you want is like the leaves or like the bok choy, like that's the part you eat, and that's the part that the flea beetle really like. So you're basically have to harvest, leaves with holes in them and then eat them. It's not like something you'd find in the store.
Yeah, and what about row cover? Would that help?
It would help, but you got to get a really good seal all the way around. You got to make sure there's very little already underneath the row cover before you put it on.
Yeah, because if you put it on and they're already in there, they're just like...
You're trapping them in there.
And you're like excluding, there's like...
It'd be like if someone closed that door over there and be like, I'm going to put all this food in here, but I'm going to close this door. Don't eat any.
It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet with no pressure from anyone else.
Yes, yeah.
But the turnips should still be fine.
Yep, they should still be fine.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you're looking to eat if this is like a true summer turnip, like the white turnips, and you're looking to eat the greens, then you might just have to give them a really good wash beforehand.
Yeah. All right, so let's remind people, what are we giving away? We're giving away beans.
We're giving away the bush bean collection, and we're giving away the carrot collection.
And some swag. And we're going to mail it out today, but Canada Post has already come, so it actually won't get officially mailed out, but you DM us your address. Don't put it in the comments.
Yes.
We will get it packaged up and ready to be sent off.
And then you should receive it sometime next week.
Yeah, early next week, depending on where you're at.
Yes.
And you have the question. I don't know what the question is.
I have the question. So we're looking for, in the comments, the first person who can tell us, and it's a two-parter, who is the original owner of Vessi Seeds, so who started Vessi Seeds, and who is the current owner / president of Vessi Seeds. Yeah. And we're looking for first and last name.
Ooh, first and last.
First and last name.
So that requires, like, everyone go, hunt.
Yes. So, for anyone who hasn't been to our site before, there is a spot on our website that does have all this information about the company. There is a part called Our Roots on our website, so if you go there and read through there, you'll be able to find the answers.
Jennifer says Glenn Holmes.
No! That's very interesting, though. For anyone who doesn't know, Glenn Holmes is one of the nicest guys ever. He runs our bulb program, so all the bulbs you see in the spring and fall, in the catalog, shipping them out, he runs that entire thing. He deserves a round of applause just for doing that by himself. So, he is not the owner.
Bev Simpson.
Okay.
Also not the right answer. We also have a Bev Vessi. Also not the right answer.
This is really good. These are really interesting.
This is a good question. On
our website, Our Roots, and all the original owner is there, and our current president / owner is there.
Yeah. I'm like waiting. Does it still say it's Bev though? Does it say?
It should.
Okay. Let me go look. I can't watch the answers though.
So our current owner started working at Vessi's, I think, in 1957, and he is still in the office every day. And most days, he is still in the office after everyone leaves as well.
Oh my God, that's a lot of information.
I did see a picture of him.
All right. What do we got? No more. People are looking just like me.
So maybe we can make it a little bit easier then. So the first owner of Vessi's, his last name was Vessi's.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Arthur Vessi, Bev Simpson.
Hey, there we go. Who's our winner?
It is Penny and Mike Homesteading.
Oh, very nice.
That is very fun. Penny and Mike, I'm not sure who I'm talking to. DM us your address and we will get a prize package out to you.
Yes, we will. Congratulations. That was a pretty good one.
But technically, if you read the front cover of our catalog, who's the president?
Yes, I know.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Jerry Simpson is our new president.
Yes.
He's taken over. He's the son of Bev.
Yes, he's the son of Bev. So he's only recently taken over, but Bev is still here in the office every day. He still has a hand in, day-to-day stuff. We love to see him in the office, so.
Every day.
Yes.
Every day. Well, this was awesome. We are going to be out in the field next time. We got more votes for veggies, so we'll be veggies. It's going to be a little bit different. We won't be sitting here. We'll be all over the place. We're right by an airport. You might hear some planes take off. It might be windy because we're on an island. But we'll do our very best, and we'll show you around, and you can ask questions about what we're growing. And we'll have questions that you guys mail in, just like we always do.
Make sure your questions don't go from beans to tomatoes, because that's literally on the opposite side of the field, so we're going to have to boot her over between the two. So
yeah. We should have wheelies or those hoverboards.
Yeah. maybe what we'll do is we'll kind of walk down the rows and we'll go to each crop, and then as they come up, maybe people will have questions and we can talk about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back in 2 weeks, 3 o'clock Atlantic Standard Time, and we will be in our veggie field. All right, thanks.
Thank you.